A lot of other things have happened since we last spoke. And at the top, I will say probably the most notable thing that happened, of course, happened Saturday evening, late Saturday afternoon. What happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. Shocking scenes over there. Of course, you know by now the reported assassination attempt on Donald Trump as he was campaigning. Just crazy to be living in these times. And we're not going to get too deep into all of this, but I will just say, I hope that there aren't people who were happy about this. This is not good for anyone. It doesn't matter who you are voting for or who you are rooting for or who you want to win. If you're blue, if you're red, if you're this, you're that, you're I don't know, undecided, you're libertarian, you're Canadian, you're English. It doesn't matter. One person died. Another person obviously was killed. The suspected shooter, one innocent person died. And it appears as though Donald Trump was hit above his ear. And there's all kinds of crazy theories and things out there. I'm pretty naive when it comes to this stuff. And I think it's terrifying. And I don't think we need that. And I can't even imagine what America would look like if that, if the worst case scenario happened on Saturday night. So a weird time, a bit of a terrifying time, if I'm being honest, and not something that I think anyone should be happy about or rooting for or, wishing upon anyone else. And of course, if you're telling me to stick to sports, I'd be happy to. But our sport, MMA, will be very much in focus later on this week at the Republican National Convention when our very own Dana White, he's one of our own, he's one of our own.
Who the fuck is we?
It's on automatic, man. I'm sorry. It's gone crazy.
Dana White, he's one of our own. He'll be introducing the 45th and perhaps 47th president of the United States of America at the Republican National Convention, introducing him. So MMA reaching the big time, hitting the mainstream on, I believe it's Thursday in Milwaukee. So stay tuned for that. The Venn diagram not only pertains to, MMA, boxing, and wrestling, it also pertains to politics and MMA. It's a wild time to be living in. But in any event, happy that it wasn't worse than it could have been. And just hopefully everyone can chill out a little bit. What happened to the days where politics were just kind of boring and everyone was just, oh yeah, that guy's speaking, cool. Maybe I'll check it out later. In any event, in addition to that, obviously we had the UFC event on Saturday in Denver, and there was a bunch of boxing. Boots Ennis in Philly, 14,000 plus. I had a very, very lovely Saturday. Prior to all the madness, my daughter got to walk out with the U.S. women's national team, holding their hand, standing for the anthem of both Mexico and the United States. Very proud moment for me, sitting in the locker room with her, going through the whole, the whole rehearsal. They call them mascots over in the U.K., and they get to walk out with the players holding their hand. A great moment. I was over the moon. I couldn't have been more excited about this and more proud. I wish her brothers were here to see it, but I will tell them all about it when we, God willing, pick them up on Sunday. She was very excited about it, and very cool to see her interacting with the players. Trinity Rodman was standing right next to her, the daughter of the great Dennis Rodman, Hall of Fame basketball player. So I was buzzing. I was absolutely buzzing, and a very, very cool moment. Commiserations, of course, to all our friends in England over the heartbreaker, and to GC, who had the future on England winning the Euro. So close. And it looked as if when Cole Palmer tied it up that they would prevail once more. I think it would be 4 comeback wins in the knockout stages, but it wasn't meant to be. It was Spain's day, both on the grass court and on the pitch, because Carlos Alcaraz won Wimbledon earlier in the day, and then, of course, the Spanish men's national team won the Euro Cup, and they were the best team in the tournament. And so now we wait and see what happens to the great Gareth Southgate, who everyone seems to want to step down, despite the fact that he took them to back-to-back Euro finals, quarterfinals of the World Cup, et cetera, et cetera. But I was very sad. I was very sad for the English fans. I wanted to see it come home once and for all. But alas, heartbreak. You okay about it, GC? You had a lot on that game, riding on that game. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'll be all right, man. I'll be all right.
No,
It's all
no,
good.
no
all good.
regalia today. You have to show up the day after.
What do you want me to do? You want me to wear an England jersey so everyone can shit on me because we lost?
No,
Is that what you want me to do?
no. I mean, I wouldn't shit on you. I do. By the way, you say we.
Who the fuck is we?
Yeah, no, I'm all right. I'm all right. It's all good. I did have a bet on Carlos Alcaraz to win Wimbledon. I took a future on him, so it's all good.
That was a little squeaky bum time.
Squeaky. I thought we were about to get the biggest collapse ever when he had triple championship point and he didn't finish it right there.
Well, all right. Well, I'm happy that worked out, and commiserations also to the Colombian fans for losing the Copa America. The game just ended, by the way, just a couple of minutes ago. Crazy scenes over there, and people saying that America clearly not fit to host an event, like a Copa America final or even a World Cup final. Forgetting the fact that America hosts, massive NFL, college football, obviously basketball, baseball aren't that big, but still massive events, concerts, things of that nature, and that never happens. I blame CONBOL. I blame them. They seem to be the culprits. I'm glad no one died. I'm glad no one got seriously hurt. At least I don't think. But I feel for all the people who bought tickets and couldn't get in. What a crazy scene that was. People in the aisles, people going through vents, people climbing over, stampede. I mean, just awful scenes. Awful. So congrats to Argentina. Congrats to Spain. Congrats to all the big winners. And now the summer of soccer fun comes to an end just in time for the Olympics to start. And I'm heading off there in 8 days' time in Paris.
I'm coming!
Yes, I will be there. I look forward to it. Now, I mentioned some breaking news off the top. I just got this a minute before we were supposed to go live. So as you guys know, Nathan Diaz and Jorge Masvidal fought 9 days ago in Anaheim. That Fanmio card, the boxing card, which, we spoke quite glowingly about in the aftermath on the Monday after. Well, I just got this from Nate Diaz's representative manager, Zach Rosenfield. He sent me a complaint in the Southern District of Florida that they filed. Please refer to the introduction as the full explanation of the lawsuit. Nate will not be making any comment. United States District Court, Southern District of Florida, Miami Division, Nathan Diaz versus Fanmio Inc. The plaintiff, Nathan Diaz, sues the defendants, Fanmio Inc. and Solomon Engel, individually and states, this case involves an outright fraud committed by defendants Fanmio and its president and owner, Solomon Engel, upon famed mixed martial artist and boxer Nathan Diaz. Fanmio describes itself as an entertainment company that provides online access to entertainment events, films, and celebrity experiences. In 2023, Fanmio and Engel approached Diaz and his representatives about Fanmio promoting a boxing match between Diaz and retired MMA fighter Jorge Masvidal. Diaz and his representatives were skeptical that Fanmio and Engel had the financial resources to fund the payments, but they were assured repeatedly that Fanmio and Engel had the financial resources to pay Diaz and that any payments owed to Diaz for participating in the boxing event would be fully guaranteed. Number two, Engel and Fanmio repeatedly promised and contractually guaranteed in writing that they would pay the sum of $10 million. So remember when I wrote cap for the purses that said he was making $500,000? Well, now you know it's $10 million. To Diaz for helping to promote the fight and boxing Masvidal with a $1 million paid upfront and $9 million paid after the event. Diaz participated in an unprecedented amount of media promotion for the fight for both him and the industry, including 6 press conferences. That is true. Unprecedented. 4 times the amount of social media posts he has ever done for any previous fight. Agreed upon media availability, podcast interviews, and granting permission to Fanmio to utilize his YouTube channel to be a distribution platform for fight-related promotional content. In the week leading up to the event, Diaz did everything requested of him to promote the success of the event, including doing podcast interviews, participating in press conferences, and posting on social media. Diaz did everything and more to attempt to make the fight a success. The value of Diaz's services for marketing and participating in the event well exceeds $20 million. The boxing event between Diaz and Masvidal took place on July 6th, the Honda Center. From all appearances, the event was a smash success. Entire 1,000+ seat Honda Center sold out, and the fight between Masvidal and Diaz was action-packed. Yet remarkably, here comes the punchline, I guess. Fanmio and Engel are now reneging on their written and oral promises and guarantees to pay $9 million owing to Diaz because they claim they are going to lose money on the event. In a flurry of desperate calls to Diaz's representatives following the event, Engel despondently groveled that he was going to lose more money than he anticipated on the event if he paid Diaz what he had promised, and that his wife might divorce him because of the financial losses. Engel went so far as to threaten he might have to declare bankruptcy to avoid paying Diaz what he owed. There's nothing lower or more despicable, this is the last paragraph, in the world of boxing than a boxing promoter who allows a fighter to put their health and safety on the line in boxing so that the promoter has the chance to make tremendous profits only to later renege on paying the boxer following the event. Worse yet, Engel knew that Diaz and his representatives were concerned about this exact situation of Engel reneging on payment if the event was not a financial success. In the months and weeks leading up to the event, Fanmio, Engel, and their representatives intentionally lied to Diaz's representatives about having set aside the money to make the payments and the payments being guaranteed, going so far as to have their lawyer inform Diaz's representatives in writing that the money to pay Diaz was being held in an independent collection account. Unfortunately, Diaz has been given no choice but to now sue Fanmio and Engel to address their blatant breach of contract and fraud and recover the money Diaz is undisputably owned. Wow. Did I say owned? Owed. My bad. I was reading.
We knew what you meant.
Yeah, my bad. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's 17 pages long, but that's a unfortunate turn of events. I will say, just from my perspective, there had been some talks of me working this event, and I had my own reservations, and I won't go too deep into them, and that's why I wasn't a part of it. I'm not saying that, this has anything to do with that, but I just felt like a lot was being promised and a lot was being invested. And then the first red flag obviously was the June 1st date, which was insanity to go up against UFC 302. And then now here you have this, which is very unfortunate. And I agree with one of the statements here, which is like, if you promise a fighter that you're going to pay them X amount in writing in a contract, and they go out there and fight, and this one happened, and Diaz showed up to all 6 press conferences. And that to me is actually the most shocking part about all of this. I couldn't believe that he showed up to all of them, even though he left in the middle of one of them. You've got to pay him. You have to. It is pretty damn low. And so let's see. This literally just came to me right now. But it is a real thing. Obviously, I know Zach quite well, and it's a very unfortunate turn of events. And I'm curious, and I'll check in with Jorge's team to see if he is having the same issue. Now, I don't know whether Jorge was getting paid as much. I don't think, but I have to triple check that. Nevertheless, if they think they're going to lose a lot of money, and that's we didn't get word on what the gate was, and I knew it was way more as far as what was promised to the 2 fighters than 500,000. I don't know why MMA media posts that stuff, why boxing media posts that stuff, knowing that it's fake. The undercard purses are a little more accurate, but the main event purses are more often than not, especially when it comes to the UFC and MMA fighters. And the reason for that is Dana likes to say he doesn't want the world to know how much the fighters are making, and that's whatever. We know this, and Conor McGregor isn't making $1 million. Nate Diaz isn't making 500, but we report it as fact. I don't know why. It's not true. It's inaccurate. They construct the contracts a little different. So what they tell the commission is X amount, but then there's a whole other amount on the back end. So that's why I put the cap emoji. That's like what the kids like to refer to as not being true. You know what I mean, Frank? It's like they say cap or no cap, I was saying cap because if it was if it was no cap, like if it was like an X and then a cap, or like the the thing that with the red with the line, that would mean that it was true. You know what I mean? So I just wrote cap, meaning it's not true. And 10 million is a lot for an event like that, especially with all that they invested in those press conferences, flying people around, the production. And then the rest of the card, Pettis isn't cheap. Chris Avila isn't cheap. You had Garcia on there. You had Vargas on there. You had Daniel Jacobs on there. Not a cheap thing. So very unfortunate. I still don't even know what Fanmio is. What is Fanmio? Is Fanmio an app? Fanmio.com. What is Fanmio? Well, it still says that you can order the pay-per-view on there. Featured events, slap fighting championships. They did a slap fighting thing with Logan Paul and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Then they had Mayweather versus Logan Paul, bringing the best in entertainment. What is Fanmio? Oh, it says right here, what is Fanmio? At Fanmio, we're focused on bringing the best entertainment to fans worldwide. We aim to transcend the boundaries of traditional entertainment, offering exclusive access to groundbreaking events and unforgettable experiences. We're dedicated to creating moments that not only entertain, but also connect and inspire. Okay. In any event, that is an unfortunate turn of events. Now, that's the first bit of news. The other piece of news that I wanted to address off the top of the show was during Saturday's UFC event, there was a clip that went viral from the French telecast on TVA Sport, which is the Quebec broadcaster. I know them well. Grew up watching that channel. Reputable network. This wasn't the French broadcast. It was the Quebec French broadcast. And there's a promo on there in the middle of the broadcast, like they did on the ESPN broadcast, where they talked about the Sphere card, which is September 14th in Las Vegas, Noche UFC, you know by now. And during this ad read, as they're talking about the date and what's coming up, the play-by-play guy mentions that there are 2 fights already announced for the Sphere card. He mentions Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili for the men's bantamweight title, and he mentions Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway for the men's featherweight title. And so some way, somehow, someone's watching this and tweets about it and clips it off. And then the thing by Sunday morning was all over the place and everyone was going crazy. All right. This is what I know with regards to that. There was never a plan to have those 2 fights headline the Sphere card. And as of right this second, that is not the plan. What I believe happened there, what I think happened there, is, local broadcaster maybe is reading stuff, sees rumors, sees a wrong report, and just assumes it's fact. I think it was just a mistake. I think it was an honest, erroneous mistake. And unfortunately, it went viral, and now everyone's taking it as fact, as gospel. Very, very unfortunate. We know the UFC. They ain't breaking that news. As much as I love Canada and Quebec, they ain't breaking that news on the French Quebec broadcast. We know this by now. And then you could say, well, maybe it leaked. Maybe they saw a promo. They ain't doing that either. They ain't giving any promos out to anyone. You know this. By now, we know how they operate. They're very tight-lipped when it comes to this stuff. And so I think this was just a mistake. And as of right now, there is no plan to have those 2 title fights headline the Sphere. As I've said, the same reason why Conor fighting Chandler on the Sphere card would be tremendous and feel like a perfect fit. It's a very expensive card. Dana said a couple of weeks ago, $17 million already allocated and invested in this, and there's more to come. Now, we know that Riyadh Season is sponsoring it, and that obviously helps. But they aren't, A, putting Conor on the same card as a card that has another champion because of the whole pay-per-view points thing, and B, he costs way too much money to put on top of that. So you could put that aside. And then the 2 title fights was never the plan. The plan was always the Grasso title defense. As she told us a couple of weeks ago, she is, of course, from Mexico, and it is a love letter to Mexico, as Dana White has said. Noche UFC. Makes all the sense in the world. She's the only Mexican champion left at the moment. You had Yair as the interim champ. You had Brandon Moreno. And then the plan has, for some time, been Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Merab. Now, both fights aren't official just yet. They haven't been signed, but that has been the plan. And as I said, if they did go with that fight, then the other plan would be Ilia versus Max, most likely on the October 5th Utah card, which hasn't been officially announced yet. Also on that card, we suspect Juliana Pena versus Raquel Pennington. Can't imagine they would put a Spaniard on a Noche UFC card. Crazier things have happened, but it doesn't make as much sense. And Merab is beloved in Mexico, and Sean has already told us his ties to Mexico. So while not your typical, Mexico versus challenger main event, it isn't as much of a stretch. And so that is still the current plan. I suspect, we're approaching. Actually, we're, as of yesterday, 2 months away from the card. So I suspect we'll get something very, very soon, and hopefully sooner rather than later. But this isn't one like 300 where they're scrambling, where they're worried. I just think they're taking their time with this one for whatever reason. And so I'm sorry to those who thought, and again, as is always with the UFC, as is always the case, they can literally change their mind in a minute. They could change their mind as I'm talking about this. They could change their mind because I'm talking about this. But as of all the conversations that I had yesterday regarding this clip that was going viral, that wasn't the plan. Those 2 title fights are the plan. And then the October 5th. And then we obviously have Arman and Islam. And I told you a week or so ago, Chandler saying that he's fighting Islam or was offered Islam. Not true. It's always Arman. He's going to do the PSA. He has said this since, and he's been verbally told that he is fighting for the belt at the end of October in Abu Dhabi. Then you've got the tentative plan being John Jones and Stipe in early November at MSG. And as of right now, as I said recently, the hope is Conor versus Chandler in December, on that December, I think, 14th pay-per-view. And Conor even tweeted to Michael Chandler a couple days ago saying, just spoke to Dana and everything is in place. And, he's hoping that he fights in 2024. So that's the layout right there. And if you look at, who has fought, who hasn't fought, who should be fighting, who's on deck, it all makes perfect sense. 304 is coming up July 27th. You got the 2 title fights there. Then it's 305. And we just found out, in addition to Izzy versus DDP, Dan Hooker is getting on the card, which is tremendous news, against Mateus Gamrot, which is a really good fight at 155 pounds. 306 would be Noche UFC on September 14th. And that's where obviously things haven't been announced yet, but I would be shocked at this point if it's those 2 title fights, Merab, Suga, and Ilya Max on there. I feel like the front runner at this juncture is Suga versus Merab, and then Alexa, hopefully against Valentina Shevchenko. We get some resolution to that one because I think Valentina deserves it after what happened at the first Noche UFC almost a year ago now. October 5th, 2 title fights, and hopefully that's the Ilya title defense. October, I think it would be 26, I think it is. Something like that. End of October would be the Abu Dhabi card, and we just found out Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov is on there as well, and we hope that it's Arman against Islam on there. Number 2, it should be a tremendous lightweight title fight. John Jones versus Stipe, Conor versus Chandler. All subject to change, but that's the plan as of now. And so anyone thinking that this was leaked, that this was put out there too soon or whatever, I just think it was a local broadcaster speaking out of turn. That's what it appears to be. And it's unfortunate, and you hope that no one gets in trouble there. And, these things happen. These things happen. So unfortunate stuff, but I wanted to update everyone on that.